decided to start off this presentation with an acknowledgement of some historical connections. On Notre Dame campus, lots of physical development has occurred. While this photo on the left is actually from 1964, you can see how much of the campus has physically changed. Yes, the Joyce, or the ACC as I like to call it, was built between this photo and 1970. The stadium is much larger. There are more asphalt parking lots, and with many more buildings and people, we use more resources: energy, water, materials, and food. But much has remained the same, still a small city that necessitates the consideration and application of sustainability to ensure campus is a clean, safe, and beautiful place, and one that will continue to develop in the future in a way that is best for the student experience and research, while making sure to follow the guidance of Pope's encyclical Laudato Si. Today, we will review the efforts of our Sustainability Office in collaboration with many on campus to limit and reduce a negative impact on the earth and lift up innovation, stewardship, and hope for Notre Dame, the Great Lakes region, our country, and the world as a whole. Next slide. Today is the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. Caring for Earth wasn't a sudden new thing in 1970, but that year was an organizing milestone for the environmental movement. About 20 million people participated in various ways, and it was known for its teach-ins. In South Bend, there was a panel discussion and a workshop, and a few workshops in the public library. The Notre Dame Observer dedicated much of its issue on the following day, on the 23rd, to environmental concerns, which focused on pollution, the concern of human population growth, and the use of nuclear power. And it was a significant push for the environmental legislation for early versions of the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, and the Endangered Species Act. Later in 1990, Earth Day went global. And while still maintaining a purpose of environmental awareness, it had become much bigger. On campus, we had an Earth Fair, a run for the environment, a mass at the grotto with a homily on the need to protect the environment, a speaker series, and a movie series. The concerns of the day were styrofoam, the ozone layer, still nuclear power, and yes, global. Several student groups formed around the time and were the impetus for the first recycling program on campus. Today, the 50th, there was a lot planned on campus and certainly across the country and globe. We'll talk about STEW and Take 10 for the Planet a little bit later, but we all know we're going to get through this pandemic, and yes, we will still have land, water, and air that still needs our efforts. At Notre Dame, we have moved much of what we were planning to October, so please look forward to those events. Next slide. In the meantime, we can all celebrate Earth Day at home. There is much we can do at home to have a positive impact. I remember the phrase, think globally, act locally, from the 1990 Earth Day, and now that's still pretty relevant for today. For fun, we thought you might be interested in this coloring page from the EPA. There's the link if you're interested, but you can always search for EPA Earth Day artwork and you'll find it. Something for fun to do today. Next slide. One more bit of history. As I was doing a little research, I came across this ad from April 22nd, 1970 issue of The Observer, and this was, of course, Earth Day. I thought it was interesting, A, because it was not uncommon to see an ad for beer in those days, and B, because it reminds us, well, I'll just let you ponder it. But I'm going to read it for you since it is kind of hard to read. Please help. All of us hate to see empty cans and bottles lousing up what's left of a beautiful country. It's too bad packaging technology today isn't as exotic and convenient as the gimmicks and gadgets on TV thrill shows. Like you, we'd like nothing better than for every empty can and bottle to self-destruct. Someday soon, things will be different, though, because we and a lot of other concerned people are all working on the problem in earnest. Meantime, there is a foolproof way to keep cans and bottles from cluttering up the countryside, and you can do your part. Please don't throw them there in the first place. And that's from Budweiser, King of Beers. Next slide. And now I'm happy to turn it over to our office's leader, Carol Mullaney, to get us started on the main purpose of this presentation, the state of sustainability at Notre Dame.
Thank you, Greg, and thank you to all of you for joining us. We're really excited that you could be with us during this time, and excited that you could celebrate Earth Day with us. As some of you may know, we had a lot of plans for all sorts of different programming across campus on this 50th anniversary of Earth Day. We had to pivot, as all of us have had to do during this time. But we're grateful to you. Also, and I know Caitlin a little bit later will spend a little bit of time on this, but big thanks to Annie Coleman, Alex Hajek, and a few others, several others who have put together this initiative called Take 10 for the Planet. So hopefully those of you who are students this week are taking at least a little bit of time this week to give some thought to our environment. So we thought what we would do today for this virtual seminar is share with you a little bit about the things that we have been working on as a campus, especially over the past year. You all should have received, if you are Notre Dame faculty, staff, students, should have received an email on Monday with a link to our 2019 sustainability report. A big thanks to Allison Mihalich for putting that together with input from many people on the team, and hopefully you've had a chance to look through this. What we thought we'd share with you are some of the highlights from that, and some of the achievements, and also things that we're working on. As Greg has put in the chat box, if you have any questions along the way, please just insert them in the chat box. We'll hold till the end for questions. If we have time, we'll answer them here. And we do have plans then to put those questions and any responses on our website following this, as well as a recording of this presentation. So next slide, please, Donetta. Thanks. So our approach to sustainability, and this link, when you get the presentation itself, will take you to our website. It has the great URL of green.nd.edu, so it should be very easy for you to remember. We encourage you to go on that if you haven't already. On it, we have our sustainability strategy, both in its original format from 2016 and what has been updated, with a brief explanation of progress against our goals. The annual report is also listed there, and we would encourage you to look at that at any point in time. As you'll see here on this slide with these icons, the group that was pulled together to develop this strategy, and this flows from previous strategies that we have had on campus, but in 2015, the Pope issued his encyclical Laudato Si, and I think that gave us a new and a kind of an enhanced call to action. And so in light of that, group of faculty, of administrators, of graduate students and undergraduate students from across campus came together to develop the strategy that we would follow for the university. And as you'll see here, it's a comprehensive strategy. So the approach is one of looking at all the different aspects of sustainability. There are 6 different categories in the strategy. We're going to go through some of the achievements in each of them. Energy and emissions is usually kind of the big one when people think about what we're doing and what goals we're setting. And we've got a lot of good things to report in that area, while still recognizing in all of these categories, we're going to share with you some of our achievements, especially from 2019. And I'll just say we also recognize there's still a lot for all of us to do. So we want to take this moment on Earth Day to recognize some of those achievements. But we just want to assure you, we all realize there's still quite a bit to do as well. So energy and emissions, you'll see water, how we use water, how we conserve water. how we treat it. Waste is obviously a big thing for us. How we can reduce waste in all forms. Looking upstream to procurement, licensing, and food sourcing. Our built environment, which we had some big news this week announcing the LEED Gold status of our 3 buildings around the stadium. And as we look also at, you know, the foundation of who we are as an institution, education, research, and then with that community outreach. And then all of those are supported by communications efforts. How do we communicate? How do we build awareness? And how do we educate? So next slide, please. So our approach to sustainability, if we think about this, has been to capture and to collect the voice of campus, if you will. We had a standing committee, and that has evolved from the original strategy development committee. It currently is in place. We have some of our standing committee members on this call. Thank you for joining us. It is a university committee, and in terms of executive leadership, it is championed by our executive vice president, Shannon Cullinan. We have representatives from across the university. There was a lot of intent in terms of ensuring that all the academic divisions across the university, as well as key operational areas, are represented. We have faculty from all of those units. We have students, both graduate students and undergraduate students, including representation from student government. We have representation from the Congregation of Holy Cross, and, you know, key administrators, operational partners from across campus. This standing committee convenes every academic semester, and many of the standing committee members are also involved in our small working groups as well. We have 7 small working groups, and they support each of the 6 key goal areas, plus a small working group for communications. And again, similar representation. We like to have kind of that broad collective voice and perspective and experience from across campus. Each of those small working groups is intended to meet 2 to 3 times per academic semester. They are fabulous. Thank you. If those of you who are joining, are part of those small working groups, they bring great ideas to us, great energy, great perspective. We have, like everyone else, have had to pivot to moving and meeting virtually, but we'll continue to do so. And some of the groups even meeting over the summer. Next slide, please. So what we'd like to share with you are some of our major accomplishments. These are highlighted in our annual report, the 2019 Sustainability Report. And again, as I said, we're gonna—
Awesome. I will be about like 10-15.
Can we ask each of you to,
All right, thank you so much.
Mute yourselves? Thank you very much. If you have any questions or other comments, if you could put that in the chat item, we would ask you to do that. So we are going to focus a bit on accomplishments, but again, I just wanted to assure you that we also realize that there is still a lot to do. So next slide, please. Wanted to show you, we've developed some infographics. Infographics can be a really effective way, I think, of sharing some of this information, especially a lot of information. We've been really fortunate to have some very talented student interns over the past several years. Currently, Alyssa Carroll, who developed this and is about to graduate. So we will miss her, but did a great job in pulling together some of these infographics. Just kind of shares with you some of maybe the key elements of our achievements during 2019. I'm going to ask each of you to do a favor for me. So as you are looking at this, and hopefully you're looking at this at full screen on your monitor or laptop, I'd like to ask you, what is the one thing that jumps out at you from this, if there is one thing? And if you could put a note in the chat box, chat screen at that, we'd like to understand what jumps out at you. So while you are doing that, I may make a few comments, and some of this we might hear about. Thank you, Jen, for being the first one, our 33% local food sourcing. As we look at this, as you can see, there is broad partnership. And as we think about moving forward with this, there is so much collaboration across campus. Key partners, I would say, for our office are all across campus. Some of them are on this call. Facilities design and operations, obviously, and how we are structuring the built environment. You know, Paul Kempf and his team in utilities that are really the ones focused on our emissions reduction, exploring different sources of energy for us. If you think about our purpose as an institution, right, the educational resources, whether it's the various programs and minors, academic programs and courses, or the research that we're doing, the research institutes, research. I was just saying to someone, I see an ND Newswire article almost weekly on some sort of research that we have that is connected to sustainability or environmental awareness. So it's fabulous work, sometimes even tough to keep on top of, but we're very excited about all of that. So thanks for all your comments. This is great. Danetta, next slide, please. One of the key things, and this is, you know, a testament to our leadership here at Notre Dame, Father John Jenkins as our president. So probably the biggest story in a way is something that he coordinated, and it was related to looking at this idea of energy transition. So one of the most notable achievements made by the university was the convening of the world's leading energy producers and investors at the Vatican, and very intentionally at the Vatican, for a 2-day summit. This summit resulted in the signing of accords aimed at supporting carbon pricing and at disclosures by these companies of climate change risk. And Father John, you know, was supported by some key folks here at Notre Dame and partnered with Cardinal Turkson at the Vatican. Cardinal Peter Turkson, as you may know, is the prefect of the Dicastery for Promoting Integral Human Development. And they co-sponsored this meeting. And I think there was both a lot of symbolism as well as a lot of real focus by doing it there. The Pope spoke to the groups both in 2018 and the convening in 2019. The key thing I'm taken from an interview with Father John this past fall is that, you know, he was focusing on how do we collaborate, how do we listen, how do we recognize what's important to all of these organizations and incentivize them to really look for other solutions. And one thing he said is that all those present acknowledged that this is not only a business problem that they need to address from a business perspective, but it's also a moral and spiritual problem. And so a huge thanks to our leader, Father John, for doing this. Next slide, please. So I am now, as we think about our achievements, going to turn over the next section, to Allison Mihalich, who's going to tell you about some of our achievements in certain areas.
Thank you, Carol, for that awesome overview, and happy Earth Day, everyone. So in the area of energy and emissions, the university has made numerous accomplishments, thanks in large part to the tremendous leadership of our operational partners in the utilities department. I see Paul Kempf joined us. Thank you, Paul, for your tremendous leadership. So I'm going to hit the highlights pretty quickly, but again, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat box. So some of the big notable accomplishments that we've made in 2019, the first one being coal cessation. So in 2015, the university committed to discontinuing the use of coal within 5 years. And we were very pleased to celebrate the discontinuation of coal in October, 1 year early, which was very exciting. So we celebrated our transition to coal, and you can see on the slide, the top left image is what the coal tunnel looked like with workers, a historical image of workers shoveling coal into the tunnels, and then the top right is the last dump truck worth of coal. So we celebrated that victory in October, which then led to, later on in 2019, the University and Indiana Michigan Power announced plans to construct a 20-megawatt solar farm nearby the university. And the university will serve, once constructed, essentially as a major tenant of this solar farm, receiving the equivalent of approximately 40% of the solar farm's generation. We also broke ground on the hydroelectric generation facility located at Sites Park along the St. Joseph River. That is a 2.5 megawatt facility. Once commissioned, these two renewable energy projects together will supply the equivalent of approximately 15% of the university's electrical needs, purely from renewable sources. We've also made great strides with geothermal. Many of you may have seen we follow a do, learn, do approach. So we've been working on geothermal, a recoverable energy source, for some time. And with the commissioning of the East plant in 2019, we're able to utilize the geothermal wells to power Dunn, Flaherty, and McCourtney halls. And the geothermal heat recovery system, I believe, is pictured bottom left. Next slide, please, Danetta. So water is our next area to highlight. In the area of water, we're working towards setting conservation goals for the university. So you really can't manage what you don't measure. In order to set goals, the utilities department has installed 50 water meters across campus, and near real-time data is now available to us. So stay tuned. We're looking forward to setting some conservation goals in the coming months next year. In 2019, we installed 8 signs across campus highlighting various water-related sustainability innovations, such as our rain gardens or our green roof on campus, which also happens to be the biggest green roof in the state of Indiana, with our total university green roof square footage exceeding 120,000 square feet, which is a lot of green roof. We also coordinate the availability of our hydration station, which you can see top right pictured, one of our sustainability interns filling her reusable bottle. So the hydration station has been available at numerous large-scale university events, including Welcome Weekend festivities, the opening picnic, and Football Fridays at the ECK, to encourage visitors to bring their reusable bottles. Next slide, please. So in the area of building and construction, as Carol mentioned, we just received word that the Duncan, Corbett, and O'Neill buildings received LEED Gold certification, which is a huge win. This has been a long time in the making, and thank you to our key partners in facility design and operations for their tremendous work. With the announcement that these 3 buildings received LEED Gold certification, we are now at 17 certified buildings on campus. 12 of our buildings are LEED Gold certified, and then 5 are silver, and we've got more in the pipeline, so stay tuned. Not only that, but when we do major renovations or construction projects, little goes to waste, and a good story to highlight that is the McKenna Hall project. When McKenna Hall was taken offline, 693 pieces of fixtures and furnishings went to various buildings. And I'd encourage you, when we send the slides out, to look at the bottom right picture. It shows which operational units and departments across campus received what. One other item we'd like to highlight, which kind of intersects the area of water and building and construction, is the Grotto renovation project, which is an iconic fixture of the Notre Dame campus community. When the Grotto was taken was taken offline to do a renovation project. We were benefacted with the ability to incorporate permeable materials which were used in the sidewalks. Permeable surfaces are really great for the environment as they reduce the amount of stormwater runoff entering our natural waterways and allow it to naturally drain into the surface. So there's a lot going on in the building and construction area. And we are hoping to do things like a building tour. It was something that we were hoping to do in the April timeframe. So stay tuned for revised plans to come and check out a LEED certified building in the fall. Next slide, please. So waste is one of our key priority areas going forward. My background behind me is our very first point that I'd like to highlight. The university has tackled food waste in a number of ways. We follow a hierarchy with source reduction, reducing the amount of waste up front. We implemented 3 grind to energy systems. The first system was installed in January of 2019, and then we installed 2 more systems at each of our dining halls, 1 at each of our dining halls in May of 2019. And to date, we've diverted over 280 plus tons of food waste, non-consumable food waste, so food that couldn't be donated or reused. This is, grind to energy is the last stop before food would otherwise wind up in the landfill. So that's something that we're very proud of, and I'd encourage folks to click that link to hear more about that story. Our very own Caitlin Hodges on our team led the effort to provide waste stations at Football Fridays at the EC, partnering really closely with the Alumni Association and catering. Our sustainability interns helped staff the waste stations, which diverted 800 plus pounds of food waste from the Football Friday events, which are cookouts. I don't know if folks have gone to them, but they're really cool events. And they have guest speakers, they barbecue. So not only did we capture 800 plus pounds of food waste, but it led to cleaning up our recycling that was generated at those Football Friday events. And we were able to capture over 1,100 pounds of clean recycling at those waste stations. Then at the start of the academic year, kind of going backwards, at the start of the 2019-2020 academic year, we implemented a move-in recycling pilot pictured bottom right on this slide. And that pilot was aimed at capturing clean cardboard. Thanks in large part to volunteers and our interns that went around to residence halls and Fall Mall at Steppen Center, we were able to capture over 3 tons of pristine cardboard recycling. And one other thing we wanted to point out is that the value of cardboard recycling has gone up dramatically. So if you're ordering things from Amazon or if you're getting boxes in the mail, make sure to break down those boxes and recycle them. The last point I wanted to highlight is a key accomplishment of our campus dining partners who've deployed the OZ reusable container system. We've expanded it to more locations, and we're looking at where we can bring the OZ reusable container next. Each OZ container replaces over 300 single-use plastics, and so we're really proud of that. Next slide, please. So procurement, licensing, and food sourcing. This is kind of a mega group. We're doing a lot here. At the 2019 Supplier Expo, the university's executive vice president honored Kimberly Clark with the university's inaugural Sustainability Procurement Partner Award for their sustainability efforts. These efforts included retrofitting all university paper towel dispensers at no cost to us, which resulted in substantial cost savings, but also pretty major waste reduction in terms of packaging, in terms of wasted paper towels. It also had the added benefits of water and energy conservation. Kimberly Clark also supports the university's glove recycling program, which has enabled the university to divert over 5,000 pounds to date of laboratory gloves and keeping those gloves out of the landfill. We are pleased to announce that we're continuing this award in 2020. So if you work with a vendor, a supplier that has helped the university embrace sustainability, please nominate them using the link in the slides, and I'll also put it in the chat box. It's open to anyone can nominate a university supplier vendor. We also are continuing to require a sustainability clause in all requests for proposals that go out, which encourages our vendors, our partners, to think about sustainability and care for the environment in responding to these proposals. And then something I heard that jumped off the screen for folks in the infographic was the local sourcing and the plant-based menu. So our campus dining partners continue to provide a minimum of 25% plant-based menu offerings. And then we also source 33% of all of university food purchases locally, which our definition of local is within 250 miles of the university or sourced within the states of Indiana and Michigan. And with that, I will hand it over to Caitlin Hodges.
Thank you, Allison. Well, I'm really excited to talk about this group in particular, the education, research, and community outreach, because it's so core to who we are as a university and what sustainability means in a university context. So I know that Father Bob Dowd is on our call today. He is the chair of this group, and this group has accomplished a lot in the past year and has set the groundwork for a lot of new types of programming to happen at our university. So we just wanted to call your attention to a couple things that you might be interested in and that will continue into next year as well. So we convened a sustainability seminar series with the hope that we would be able to highlight local research on our campus, as well as key partners in our region. So Therese Doral, who is the Director of Sustainability for the City of South Bend and a dear friend of many of us in the Office of Sustainability, doing a lot of great things for our city, was our first speaker this semester. Of course, we had to kind of delay some of that for this semester, but we are always looking for ideas. If you or someone you know is doing research that is beneficial in these areas of sustainability, we will continue this seminar series next year. So that's something to keep an eye out for. This was also the first year that sustainability had a place in the Moreau first year experience. So for those of you who are students on our campus or faculty, the Moreau first year experience is a course that all students in their first year here have to take. So this effectively means that all students who are freshmen at our university now have had some introduction to sustainability, which is a huge achievement from an educational standpoint, and will hopefully be something that we can continue working with in the future and really growing that culture of sustainability on our campus. With it being Earth Day, the 50th anniversary of Earth Day this year, this was a great opportunity for us to kind of return to the educational roots of Earth Day. And so you'll see this logo here at the bottom. That's for Take 10 for the Planet, which is a faculty-led initiative to encourage different faculty members across campus to incorporate some aspects of sustainability into their teaching this week. So this is the first year that we've done it. We created a database, some of us who are very passionate about this project. And the hope is that we'll continue to grow this for Earth Day next year, maybe do other events around this, maybe an event series with different short talks and things like that, so that we have these pop-up educational opportunities on our campus for sustainability. And I know I saw some people talking about the number of sustainability related courses. This is a key metric for our university and for the office. So one thing that we have to report on is part of HE STARS, which is how universities involved in sustainability kind of compare ourselves to each other and make sure that we're all advancing in these areas, looking at the number of courses that will teach our students something directly applicable to sustainability. So we have several programs on campus that are directly tied to sustainability, being the minor in sustainability and the energy studies minor, and the resiliency and sustainability of engineering systems minor. Those are all undergraduate programs. We have many graduate programs as well that are really directly tied to this. So this is something that this group spends a lot of time thinking about. And one exciting thing, if you're a faculty member on the call today who is interested in teaching more courses in sustainability, I know that the minor in sustainability manages a sustainable faculty network. So that's a place for resources and other faculty who are teaching in these areas that you can go to and ask for advice. There's also a course development grant through that program if you are interested in teaching in sustainability and kind of looking for some support. And with that, Danetta, could you go to the next slide, please? And the communications group is really critical as well. So you may have noticed as we were talking about the strategy that communications wasn't necessarily something that when we first developed the strategy, it was something we had particular goals in. but it's so critical on a campus like ours, because you think about all these stories that we just gave a very quick overview of today. We have to tell people about these stories and get support for them. So our goal with communications has always been to be flexible to meet the needs of campus as campus or community changes over time. So some of the new things that are going on in the communication space for our office is a website redesign, hopefully making our information a lot easier for people to access. Danetta McClellan, who you'll hear from soon, has really done a great job of increasing the number of publications of these big stories. It helps when you have a lot of really great stories to tell, to put them in more places. And then taking advantage of some of the new resources that have popped up on campus, like our digital boards and Duncan Student Center and things like that, to put sustainability information out there in new ways. And you'll see this lovely squirrel here on our slide. So this is Stu, who's our new mascot out of the office, designed by one of our sustainability interns, our graphic design intern. And Stu, the point of Stu is really to make sustainability hopefully more fun. We have a lot of visually forward communications that will help teach people about recycling and things like that. So Stu's been a great partner as well. And then other places that you can look out for sustainability content, we are always partnering with Notre Dame Athletics. So making sure that we have video content and football games and other sporting events on our campus. So usually we have a video that will be about food waste or recycling or something else key to our sustainability goals on campus in a given year. This year it was food waste because that's been a big push for us. But you can find all those videos on our website if you haven't had a chance to see them yet. And then just a plug here, when you see this presentation afterwards, all of these icons will link directly to our social media accounts. So that's one of the best ways to keep up to date with what we're doing. And then I just wanted to say that if you have suggestions for other types of communications or other channels that you would like to see us using to communicate our sustainability, I see a very active chat box, so I figured this might be a good time to ask. Let us know if there's somewhere else that you would like to see sustainability news, or if you have suggestions for types of stories or people that you know are doing exciting work in this space on our campus. It's really a collaborative effort and we appreciate any input. And so with that, I'm going to pass it back over to Carol Mullaney to talk a little bit about the future of sustainability on our campus and where we're headed next.
Great, thanks so much, Caitlin. We wanted to take just a couple of minutes to, as we look back, right? We're also looking forward. We're already in April here. And so think about where we're going. I just have to acknowledge this is one of our favorite photos, right? And as we think about how we ask Mary to intercede for us and protect also our environment, we would be planning what we're going to do going forward. So I will say, and I'm sure you're all aware of this because you're all involved in this as well. You know, we had plans. We had plans for what we were going to do this year. A lot of those we're all being forced to reevaluate in light of the current situation that we're in. And we will be doing that as we understand a little bit more clearly what 2020 holds for us as a campus. Obviously, some of the changes to our campus environment and the concerns and the risks of the coronavirus pandemic impact some of what we're doing, especially in the area of waste. And so we will be working on that. We will still maintain our goal of reducing waste of all sorts, but we also understand that there may be some different topics and different issues that we will need to address as we move forward. So Danetta, if you could go to the next slide, just a few key priorities. First of all, that the small working groups that we explained before in the standing committee, they help us as a campus to constantly review our strategy and to look at, you know, whether it's new technologies, new challenges, new ideas, or just looking at how we take the next step in moving forward in our strategy. So we absolutely will continue to do that. Paul Kempf, who leads our utilities and maintenance groups, and thank you, who has joined us for today. He also leads a group that looks at utilities long-range planning. They have been doing this for many years, and it's because of that effective planning that we have gotten to the point where we have so far in terms of eliminating the burning of coal and working on various renewable and recoverable options. He is leading that effort to continue to update the utilities long-range plan. So with the goal that ultimately we will become carbon neutral as a campus. I think one of the biggest areas that we as a team are working on is waste reduction. And I see a lot of questions in the chat box, and rightly so. It's probably the questions we get asked most about are about recycling. It has changed drastically and it's continuing to change, and we'll get to maybe some of your questions. We have a group, we actually entitled our group Re-envisioning Recycling on campus, because we really do need to re-envision how we collect recycling, what we are advising you to do, what kind of structures we have in place in the buildings. And so this has become a top priority for us. We are working with a wide variety of partners, both across campus and some of our vendors. We have one of them from Coca-Cola who's joining our presentation here, and are thankful for that and for their input and support and ideas, as well as many others as well. As Allison pointed out, you know, in the area of water, we have implemented and installed some meters. As you all know, we have a lot of older buildings on campus, and so to get a better understanding of how we are using water, so we'll be establishing some water conservation metrics this year. The great work that a lot of people did in establishing a week of sustainability content in the Moreau First Year Experience course, that was done and had to be done a little bit quickly this year, but great work in getting that done. And so we will look to how we can bolster that going forward and ensure that that is continued year after year. And then in terms of what we're doing now, as we mentioned, we had a lot of programming planned for today and for this week here on campus, which had to be changed. We are hopeful, and we are making plans for October 2020, which is University Sustainability Month. So some of maybe what we planned for Earth Day, we may defer to until October. It's also the Feast of St. Francis we usually celebrate in the month of October. And so we'll be doing that in October. Then also looking to a year from now, right? So Earth Day, number 51, right? How we might celebrate that. So stay tuned. And as Caitlin mentioned, if you look at our social media accounts and our website, probably the best way to stay on top of that. So if next slide, Donetta. As we think about our key priorities, and a big plug too, I'm just seeing in the chat from Anne in ND Energy that Energy Week will also be in early fall. So we will promote that, and we encourage you to look out for those details there. We're going to ask you to put this in the chat box. As we think about what our priorities should be and how we reevaluate our goals and decide what we should focus on, we invite you to share with us what you think the key sustainability priorities should be. So simply put an idea or a thought in the chat box, and we will collect those, and we would welcome them. So at this point, I'm going to turn it back to Donetta McClellan, who is going to share with us some ideas on what you individually can do on this Earth Day and beyond.
Thank you, Carol. I know we're kind of running a little bit short on time, and I want to make sure we have time to answer questions at the end. So I'm just going to share a few things that each one of us can do. And many times we hear that it's just hard, I don't know where to start, I'm not sure what I can do. I want to tell you that you have already started that journey because you're already attending our event today. So you've got one checked off the list already, so good for you. There are several other things that are listed here that you can do. Very simple, easy things, and there are so many resources out there that will help you on your journey. So you can do things from learning to compost, planting a container garden, so many other small things that you can do on your own small scale. So as we kind of look through this list, there are many things that you can do. And if you're like most of us, missing campus, you can also take a virtual tour of our campus trees. you can go on to our sustainability mobile app where you will find a tab for a tour, and then you'll see tree tour, and you can take that virtually. So if you're missing the beautiful campus like we all are and the beautiful blooms that are happening right now, you can definitely take that tour with us. One of the other things I'd like to point out of something you can do, and this takes little effort as well, is that through the Notre Dame ID, you can access Canopy, where you can find many films of sustainability and climate related movies that you can watch. So we have created a list for you. Those are on our website. And if we're missing one that you think we would watch and be interested in, please email us and let us know that. And then what you can do after you've found the movie, just sit back and relax and you can enjoy your show. There are a lot of ways that you can get involved, and we have ways for students and we also have ways for faculty and staff. And I know that Caitlin touched on some of the areas that the students can get involved in, but we have a great team of sustainability commissioners that she has built. And a lot of them also help with our game day recycling, and they are sustainability minded courses that they take as well. So they are always involved in what we do. And for faculty and staff, Greg Kohler heads a lot of that up. So if you want to become a green ambassador, or if you'd like to even start a team in your own department that would help with some of our green efforts of sustainability and campus, we would really like that. One of the things I would like to emphasize too that we can all do, and that is reduce, reuse, and recycle. If we can cut down on the amount of things that are not recyclable, or recycle those things that are and do that correctly, that would help us all go a long way in what we can do in getting involved on a small scale as well as a home scale. So at this point, I'll turn this over to the rest of our team. If you would like to contact us and have any questions, here's our contact information, and we would be happy to answer any and all questions that you may have moving forward for what we can do to help you. And at this time, I'll turn this over to Greg, and he's going to help us facilitate the questions for today.
Right, so we'll try to get to as many as possible, but know that we are going to post these questions and answers on our website as well. So the first question, well, actually there was several questions about energy and water, and if you take a look at the chat, it may be hard to find it, but Paul Kemp, since he was on this presentation as well, he did a really good job of answering those questions. So if you take a look at that, you'll see his answers. Caitlin, this question is for you, and sorry if you already answered this, but is the Moreau module for the fall or spring?
So the Moreau module this year was for the spring. It was the week right before spring break, so that first week of March, and we expect that it will stay in the spring semester for next year because it kind of fits in with the concept of community engagement and some of the other topics that they're touching on in the spring. So if people have suggestions for types of things that you might like to see in that programming, or we've had some partners on campus kind of plan things to help with that, such as the Snipe Museum, which planned a small exhibit that some of the Moreau classes were able to attend, feel free to contact me.
And Allison, in terms of locally sourced food, will the campus garden be available again this year?
Great question. So I'll send a note out to all campus gardeners, and you can actually visit our website. I believe it's growirish.nd.edu. Right now, with the campus being mostly closed, we're asking all gardeners to hold off on entering the garden until the first week of May, at which point we're going to reassess the situation. Hopefully that doesn't impact direct planting into the ground. We've always followed the Farmer's Almanac, and I think we have until around Mother's Day. There's a little bit of flexibility there. So right now the campus garden is closed, but stay tuned.
There was a question, well, there's actually several questions about recycling, and will campus recycling requirements be changed with price instability? I mean, I think I can quickly answer that and say that the answer is yes. But that is to be determined. Just before the virus shutdown, we were starting a pilot project in Grace Hall to test a couple things new with recycling. And so when we get back to the campus, we'll follow up with that, and we'll start with the office buildings and then go to the residential buildings and make some changes for improvements.
And Greg, I saw a question about cardboard price stability as well versus plastic. I'm not sure if that got answered, but just really quickly, yes, to answer that question, cardboard, we are actually seeing a rebate for recycling our cardboard. We're encouraged. My comment earlier was to encourage folks at home to recycle their cardboard. Please do not come to campus to recycle cardboard unless you're already on campus, if you're deemed essential faculty or staff. But we're actually seeing a rebate for cardboard, whereas the price of plastic, we're paying to recycle plastic. And that's something that we're seeing nationally as well. And the rebate for cardboard has increased in the past couple of months, is what we've heard from our hauler who services campus recycling.
And Allison, if people have electronic waste, what is the process for that?
Yeah, so I believe that's listed on our recycling.nd.edu website, but if you are able to access the AIM system, you can enter an AIM work order and our recycling crew will come pick up electronic waste and bring it to Mason Services Center.
And do we track whether there is an increase of food waste now that food waste can be used for energy?
This is a great question, and I was going to put it in the chat box, but it's a little bit longer.
Yeah.
We look really closely at our waste generated all across campus, but very specifically at the 3 locations where Grind to Energy has been installed. Those 3 locations are our catering operation, South Dining Hall, and North Dining Hall. And we're working really closely with campus dining to prioritize food waste reduction first. So encouraging students, staff, visitors to take less on their plate in order to waste less. Campus dining uses a system called Lean Path, which is essentially a camera and a scale to measure at a very granular level how much food waste can either be donated, safely reused, safely rescued, meaning donated into the community, or sent to the Grind to Energy system. Right now, we have not seen an increase in non-consumable food. So only non-consumable food is going into Grind to Energy. And we have not seen an increase as a result of the installation of the Grind to Energy system. Before the systems were installed, we projected on an annual basis that we would divert about 400 tons of non-consumable food waste into Grind to Energy per year. And we were on track. I had mentioned I believe as of April 1, we had diverted a little over 280 tons. We were on track to hit that 400 tons per year number. Obviously, with all of us off of campus, non-consumable food waste has dramatically reduced, but we have not seen an increase of people generating more waste because it's being diverted from the landfill.
Thank you. And just to let everybody know, we did have a couple questions that are probably more detailed than what time we have for left, and we promise we'll get that information out to you. But Danetta, just clarify, will this be on our website?
Yes, we will have the recording on our website, and we can even put that out on our social media as well and find it, make it easy for everyone to find. And we'll have the questions and answers to the chat as well.
And people will be able to see the links that we referred to as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I think that about covers it for the time that we have. And does anybody have any closing remarks? Or
I'd just like to thank you all for joining. It was great to see so many people and a mix of faculty, of students, of staff. Please reach out to us at any point in time if you have questions. And most importantly, happy Earth Day.
Happy Earth Day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks.